The music was loud, the ballroom glittered with chandeliers, and billionaires raised their glasses in celebration. But then everything stopped. A little girl in a satin dress broke free from her mother, ran across the marble floor, and wrapped her arms around a stranger's leg. "Daddy!" she cried. The crowd gasped. The man she clung to wasn't rich, wasn't famous. He was a struggling single dad who barely afforded the suit he wore. Yet in that one word, spoken by a billionaire's daughter he had never met, his entire life, and hers, was about to change forever. If the story touched your heart, show your love, like, share, and comment your thoughts. Ethan Clark had never known luxury. At 35, his life was a series of small battles. Overdue bills, broken appliances, and the endless ache of watching his 8-year-old daughter, Sophie, grow up with less than she deserved. Sophie had curly brown hair, bright eyes that never lost their shine, and a heart so big that even when she wore second-hand clothes, she'd say, "It's okay, Daddy, as long as we're together." Ethan worked 2 jobs, repairing cars by day and stocking shelves at night. Sleep was a luxury he could never afford. His hands were calloused, his back ached, but he kept pushing, telling himself that someday, somehow, Sophie would have the life she deserved. One evening, while fixing an old sedan in the garage, Ethan's boss handed him a crisp white envelope. "You got mail," the man said with a smirk. "Fancy invite. Must have been a mistake." Inside was an invitation to the Harrington Foundation annual charity gala, an event so exclusive that tickets cost more than Ethan's yearly rent. He stared at it, confused. Why would they send something like this to him? But tucked inside was also a note. "For community service and resilience. We honor your contribution." It was true. Ethan often volunteered at the local shelter when he could. He never expected recognition, but here it was. He almost tossed it away, but Sophie's excited gasp stopped him. "Daddy, you have to go. It's a palace party, like in the movies." Ethan chuckled. "Sweetheart, this isn't for us." But Sophie's eyes pleaded. "Please? Just this once. Maybe someone will help us. You never know." So, against his instincts, Ethan borrowed a suit from his neighbor, polished his old shoes, and promised Sophie he'd be home early. The gala was another world. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, tables draped in silk. Ethan felt invisible as servers brushed past him, carrying trays of champagne. Wealthy men talked business. Women in gowns laughed behind diamond necklaces. Ethan's stomach clenched. He didn't belong here. But just as he considered leaving, a small figure darted across the room. A girl, maybe 7, wearing a white satin dress and shiny shoes. Her blonde hair bounced as she ran. Then, before Ethan could react, she threw herself into his arms. "Daddy!" she cried, holding onto him tightly. The entire ballroom fell silent. Heads turned, whispers spread like wildfire. Ethan froze. "Sweetheart, I think you've mistaken me." But the girl looked up at him with tears brimming in her blue eyes. "No, you came back. You promised." A woman's voice cut through the air. "Lily!" Everyone turned. A tall woman in an emerald gown stormed toward them. She was elegant, commanding. Her dark hair swept into a perfect bun. Her name was Victoria Harrington, daughter of billionaire philanthropist Charles Harrington, and mother of the girl who had just called Ethan Daddy. Victoria's heels clicked sharply as she approached, her expression icy. "Step away from my daughter," she ordered. Ethan stammered. "Ma'am, I don't know what's happening. She just..." But Lily clung tighter. "Mommy, it's him. I told you he'd come back." The room buzzed. Guests whispered, eyes darting between Ethan and Victoria. The music had stopped. The gala had transformed into a stage of confusion and scandal. Victoria's face softened for a moment, but only barely. She knelt beside Lily. "Sweetheart, this man is not your father." Lily shook her head furiously. Yes, he is. Look at him. Ethan's heart pounded. He wanted to run, to escape the humiliation, but something in Lily's eyes stopped him. A sadness he recognized. The same loneliness he saw in Sophie when she asked about her late mother. I think there's been a mistake, Ethan whispered. But destiny doesn't deal in mistakes. The commotion grew until Charles Harrington himself, the patriarch, approached. Tall, silver-haired. His presence commanded silence. What's going on? He demanded. Victoria explained quickly, but Lily interrupted, pointing at Ethan. Grandpa, he's my daddy. Don't you see? Charles studied Ethan carefully. The man was clearly poor, his suit too small, his shoes worn. But there was something in his eyes, an honesty, a gentleness, that struck him. Come with me, Charles said. In a side room, away from the crowd, Ethan told the truth about his life, about Sophie, about struggle. He swore he had never seen Lily before tonight. Victoria listened, arms crossed, but even she couldn't ignore the strange connection between her daughter and this man. Lily climbed onto Ethan's lap, hugging him as if she'd known him forever. Daddy, she whispered again, her small voice trembling. Victoria's sternness cracked. For years, Lily had refused to call any man daddy. Her father had abandoned them before she was born. Yet tonight, with this stranger, she had spoken the word she had guarded all her life. Charles made a decision. Mr. Clark, whether this is fate or coincidence, I see something rare here. A man who knows sacrifice. A man my granddaughter trusts instantly. You and your daughter will not struggle alone anymore. From this night, you are under my protection. Ethan's throat tightened. He had walked in a broken man. He was walking out with more than wealth. He was walking out with hope, dignity, and a new family bound not by blood, but by something far stronger. As they stepped back into the ballroom, Lily's hand in his, Sophie's laughter echoing in his memory, Ethan realized something. Sometimes, fate calls us daddy long before we understand why. And sometimes, it takes a child's voice to make the world finally listen. No wealth is greater than love. No struggle is wasted when it leads you to the family your heart was always meant to find.